What if humanity isn't the pinnacle of consciousness, but rather a crucial part of something far greater emerging on our planet? This video series about the evolution of consciousness explores humanity's role in relationship with the planetary intelligence. We are part of the vast consciousness field of our planet. This intelligence includes her other parts: single-celled prokaryotes, dolphins, trees, birds, fungi, and your dog or cat. Each of her parts has a place in the whole. Humanity is the individuated, self-aware, observant part of the whole of the planet. To understand this on an even deeper level, let's look at what it means to be part of the whole. The word for whole in Greek is holos, and the word for part is on. Together they form the word holon. A holon is something that is simultaneously a whole in and of itself, as well as a part of a larger whole. For example, an atom is a whole thing made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons, which are its parts. In turn, atoms form the parts of whole molecules. And in the jump to life, numerous types of molecules become the parts of the most primitive type of cell on Earth, the prokaryote. These prokaryotic cells form the foundation upon which all of life evolved. From simplicity to complexity, these primitive cells evolved into intricate cells, such as this neuronal cell, which banded together with other parts to form a whole organ, the human brain. With increasing complexity, numerous organs form the wonder of a human being. Our reality is made up of holons. So crucial is the understanding of holons that we're going to dive into a few of their properties. Holons emerge. When an oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms come together, a novel and absolutely unprecedented holon emerges, a molecule necessary for organic life: water. Emergence is emergent, which means absolutely unpredicated by the past. The philosopher Ken Wilber has this to say about holons.
We can never know exactly what any holon will do. Self-transcendent emergence always means, to some degree, surprise.
We will return to this emergent property of holons a little bit later in this video. But for now, we need to talk about transcendence. We have all experienced transcendence. As infants, we crawled on all fours. Until, in a moment of transcendence, we learned to walk upright on two legs. We didn't lose the ability to crawl, but in a process of self-transcendence, our abilities now included both crawling and walking. Holons act the same way. Water, which is molecularly a superior holon, includes and transcends its junior holons, its individual atoms. This is an inherent creativity on all parts of a whole, a self-transcending capacity to reach beyond and introduce novelty. As Aristotle said,
The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
This means that holons are self-transcendent. And in their leaps to the greater complexity of new wholes, we see the evidence of the underlying subtle creative intelligence of the universe, the unseen architect's blueprint. Here is another important quality of Holons. Atoms make water possible, right? And water goes beyond, way beyond, the potential of those atoms. This means that, and this language is a bit technical, so bear with me, the junior Holons set the possibilities for the higher Holon, and the superior Holon sets the probabilities of the lower. In the emerging complexity of life, cells, the next superior Holon, will have agency and creativity over its junior Holon, the water within its membrane. Holons have social qualities as well. This can be seen in the context of an individual ant, a Holon, whole in and of itself, who is a member of a social Holon, the ant colony. In organic life, these social Holons are relational networks containing morphogenetic fields of consciousness. It is from these subtle fields of increasing intelligence that evolution moves into life and ever greater wholes. From the simplicity of single-celled prokaryotes to the complexity of a human being. Ken Wilber calls complex sentient organisms, such as human beings, deep Holons. Here's a beautiful quote.
The greater the depth of a Holon, the greater its degree of consciousness. And one can perhaps begin to see that a spiritual dimension is built into the very fabric, the very depth of the cosmos.
This video is about the evolution of consciousness and our universe's intention to evolve from its original simplicity to complexity, from an underlying pre-physical blueprint into an increasingly complex and interconnected world. Humanity is poised between coherence and disorder, a tipping point, a critical threshold in which a small change can alter the evolution of the whole. The Nobel Prize-winning Ilya Prigogine had this to say about these times.
When a complex system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to shift the entire system to a higher order.
We are experimenting with evolution's edge. We are not only self-aware, but in acts of self-transcendence, we are creating fields of collective awareness. These small islands of coherence are morphogenetic fields strong enough to initiate a new and emergent movement, a transcendence over its individual parts.
The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
This is our evolutionary edge. This is how Ken Wilber defines this moment.
The many, differentiation, become one, integration, and are increased by one, the new Holon.
Let's hear that again.
The new Holon.
In our discussion of the properties of Holons, we noted that Holons emerge like atoms to molecules. Emergence is emergent, which means something new that is absolutely unpredicated by the past. Now we have gotten to something quite beautiful. We are not alone, individually or as a species. A new Holon has included, and more importantly, transcended humanity. There is a new and emerging whole that we are part of. The emergence of this new higher Holon is a poignant humbling of our human mind and ego. It offers an unexpected and unprecedented opportunity, a moment of surrender into our part, included in a higher whole. What does it mean to surrender? Humanity is faced with innumerable spiritual, philosophical, and existential crises, and indeed, there is a strong imperative to act with tremendous urgency. Thus, at this moment in our collective journey, it seems paradoxical to surrender, and yet, maybe it is crucial. All spiritual traditions point to the essential role of surrender in the process of transformation. Beyond acceptance of the crises surrounding us, surrendering into a higher intelligence allows for a release of fear, a new spaciousness that opens the heart for discovery of greater truths, new hypotheses, and a wider range of choices to act upon. Surrendering into this higher Holon allows for an alchemical shift from one way of being into another. To address the dire circumstances humanity faces, we must grow beyond that which is familiar, to explore new ways of understanding our part in the whole. We will need to address our inner fears when our belief systems are shaken, and to understand that this surrender is not an abdication of self or of responsibility. This surrender is not passive or a state of being dominated by a higher Holon. This higher Holon was able to emerge in accordance with the underlying blueprint because of humanity's increasing individuation and self-transcendence. Let's take another look at the holonic structure of what has emerged. Remember the cell called the prokaryote? This single-celled organism is the most primitive form of life within the consciousness of the planet. Ken Wilber calls this foundational level Gaia, which makes sense because all life has included and transcended this simple cellular structure. What then shall we call this new Holon? In looking for a name, I turned to ancient Greek and a word meaning joint agreement, and as a verb to fit together, Harmonia. This is a new vision of our planetary consciousness. At this critical tipping point, we need new narratives. As compelling as this vision may be, what really matters is a new experience of this new paradigm.
The visions we offer our children shape the future. It matters what those visions are. Often, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. Dreams are maps.
Carl Sagan.
Hi, I'm Amah Sia. I'm the creator of the Decoding Consciousness video series. If you liked the video you just saw, please subscribe. It would mean so much to me and helps to keep the content coming. Thank you.